Hi, I'm wondering how you're getting on with the autumn equinox energies that are around at the moment. There's lots of endings and new beginnings, and possibly it's going to be a time of balance. But what if you're feeling imbalanced? So, I had a conversation last night with a group in Raise, which is our spiritual grief healing community online. And I just want to share a few of the things that came up within the group because I think it would be really useful for you to hear. There was plenty of guidance that came through from Spirit as well. And I wonder if you resonate with some of the things that we talked about. So the changing of the energies, we're coming into balance. But this is the beginning of a new cycle of learning and growth for the year. So within Raise, we have sort of 4 parts to the year. And this part we call the finding of lost things. And it's all about remembering, about receiving, and about looking at the things that are there on the periphery. And as we're moving into the winter, we're moving to the inner work. So it feels like the beginning of a school year. We're beginning our work for the year. And a lot of that has to do with, it's almost like there's heightened sensitivity at the moment. And I work with spirit, so Raise is a sacred space, and we work between the realms. There's obviously me in the physical, and then I have my brother Chris, who is in spirit, and we work together, and we're like a bridge. And we give and receive information. And a lot of this at the moment, I mean, come to as no surprise to anybody. We've obviously had Brexit. We had Brexit. Yeah, we had the separation energy in that decision, and what's happened to the country and to our European neighbours, and how that's caused friction, and we're feeling the repercussions now, definitely. Then we had COVID, where we had complete disruption and chaos of funeral rites, of like very difficult deaths in many cases, like sudden deaths, and being unable to collectively mourn, and lots of grief around that, obviously, which is still playing out now, even though things are supposedly sort of back to normal, the new normal, but the grief is still there. And then of course we had the Queen, and that has brought up a lot of grief around mothers, grandmothers, and it's grief that's maybe has been dormant for a long time. You may not even know where the grief has come from. It may have really surprised you around how emotional you've been feeling recently. And Chris and I definitely get it, or from Chris, I'm definitely getting the feeling at the moment that the balancing of the physical and the non-physical is part of it, is that we are feeling the grief and the disconnection that is in spirit that needs to be healed. So just as we in our physical bodies need to grieve and to heal what we feel has been lost, the same is in spirit. Now I need to explain that, I guess, because for people who don't know us, Christian, he went missing in Africa in 2003, and then we had 12 years of absolutely no news after doing all the searches that we possibly could. And I suddenly started to get the feeling that I could find him, and I started to get the touch from spirit. So I started to feel a heat in my back, and all these sort of at this time of year, you're going to be really, spirit is so close at this time of year. So I was getting yeah, the touches in the back. I was getting signs, I was getting signals. And people in our group last night, we were talking about this, and lots of people have heightened awareness at the moment. So especially with touch, so being very sensitive to touch and being very suddenly having, yes, it's almost like heightened awareness of things that are sort of in the background. You can't really see them, you haven't got clarity, but they're there. And your body being almost like an antennae that's coming online. And anybody who is feeling, yeah, it's like an urge or a yearning or a, like this grief bubbling up, and like, where is it from? What's behind this grief? And it may very well be, and especially if you're watching this film, it might be that you are receiving from spirit, and there's a real need and a recognition now to be healing between the realms, if you want to call it. So and Chris and I, this is our job, is to share the possibility of healing after death. And this can go back, like, it's going to be ancestral, it's going to be through the family lines, it's going to be through loved ones. And just, if I had to help Chris heal his grief, he was earthbound, so he was stuck very, very connected to earth still in his spirit form. And I could feel it. I didn't know, because when he'd gone missing, I was hoping he was still alive. But I could feel his loss. He was feeling lost, I was feeling lost. I could feel grief, obviously grief, but I didn't recognize it at the time, and I just carried on through my life totally unaware of this, what was happening, and like spirit trying to reach me, but I was totally cut off from it. I was in denial, I was frozen in my grief. And then certain circumstances happened 12 years afterwards where, yeah, I was getting the heat in the back. I started to meet people who were spiritual. They frightened me totally, but I gradually got used to what they were talking about. And I was thrown into this position of being a writer in residence for a funeral company. Like, that opportunity came out of the blue. I was asked if I wanted to do it, and I said yes. And of course, it was probably the biggest slap in the face that spirit could give me, that I needed to look at my grief, and I needed to help and find and help and heal Chris as well. So yes, this time of year, as we're moving into the inner world, like for the next 6 months, really, we're going to be really working on our inner being, and it's going to be, yeah, our soul self, so like our higher self, the self that has had many lives, is ancient, knows what we're here for in this life right now. Like, you'll be getting a prod from yourself, you'll be getting a prod from your ancestors, maybe from your loved ones. Like, this is the time, especially as we start the raise, like the pathway, we're starting again afresh this year. So if you're starting to get the call or the push, come into raise, because we're just about to start. I got some cards actually. Yeah, so heightened sensitivity. If you're really listening to my words, and something I'm saying is somehow, I don't know if it's a slightly faster beating heart, or something in your stomach, or you're maybe getting chills. I always get like fizzing in my body, like, that'll be a sign. Please don't be scared of it. Please don't be scared of it. This is the opportunity for you now to do something incredible. And it's not just for you, it's for your loved ones, it's for your ancestors, it's for past generations, and it's also for future generations. So if you feel like you're being attracted to what I'm saying, please come into Raise. It's free to join. There's no questions asked. Just come in and have a look round. I'm going to be doing a weekly live stream, so you can always join me every week. I'm going to be giving guidance, whatever's wanting to come through, and you can interact with me there. So I'm not going to be doing interactive films on the social media. You can only interact with us through coming into Raise, because it's a safe space, it's a sacred space, it's a clear and pure connection. So as you come into Raise, you also bring in your loved ones and your ancestors, like they're waiting for you there. I can't explain the sense and the feeling in Raise. We were taught, actually, because I've taken lots of people through Raise, through 3 separate circles last year. And if you come into Raise now as a beginner, who, like, you're just hearing the call, you're just curious, even like looking at the possibility, wanting to know a bit more, like, you will interact with others who've been through the Raise pathway, and they're incredible people. And all of them actually came in with huge trepidation into Raise, and like, if you see them now and you interact with them and you hear them speak, like, they're totally changed, and they're finding themselves, they're finding their security and their inner knowing and their power, and they're really changing their lives and other people's lives as well. Like, it's incredible, the healing and the work that's going on. It's really incredible. So do come in, just have a look around. And then I'm just going to share a bit of information that I was given about some cards that I chose for the session, and they kind of, so I choose some cards, and then I just channel what I get through from them, and I do that every week. So this week, just to give you an idea of what we got as we start into this new year, I got purification, which is a sweat lodge purification. So yeah, as we go into a new year, like, really cleansing our mind, body and soul of anything that we don't want to take forward into the new year, like literally dropping it like a stone, saying no, saying, actually, this is not acceptable anymore. It might be relationships, it might be situations, it might even just be like the recognition that I want to heal. I don't know how, but I'm willing to step forward to take that first step and come into Raise. You know, I often have this conversation about, people have said to me before, like, it's impossible. I don't believe you can actually heal grief. I don't believe you can truly heal. I would say I believe you can, and I believe Chris and I have healed our grief, as long as you get to the root, and the root won't necessarily be the loss that you have just experienced, the bereavement you've just experienced. There'll be past lives, there'll be ancestral, there'll be all sorts of grief, even collective grief that we all feel, and it's an energetic, in your mind, in your body, like, there's so many levels to grief, and it takes a long time. But Chris and I know from both sides our pathway and how we've been shown. We took 18 years to fully and deeply heal our grief. You know, you can't just let the feelings out, you can't just grieve. You actually got to heal, and that means going very deep. And this, like, next 6 months is all about the inner work, and this cycle, this sort of cycle of this year, you probably won't get to every bit of grief at all, but it will be what you are ready to release. So it will be just like the cycle, what you need to release. And you will remember your powers. A lot about this time of year where you're the finding of lost things, as I said before, is like remembering how powerful you are. You know exactly what you need to heal and how to heal. And I guess raise is like gives you a sort of trellis, it gives you a structure. Obviously we're there to support you and to give us, and for us to give you our story and our knowledge and the things that we've learned. So it's a very safe and supportive space. Yeah, so the purification could even be just like making that decision of I need to find a way to heal this grief, because it you know, I can't be free of this. I'm never going to be free of this. I really want to be, and I know that my loved ones, my ancestors, I'm getting the prod. You know, I could be healing my family line. Like, just come in and do it. And we'll hold your hand. And the other two cards that I got was Mouse, which is all about details. So yes, that's the, like, what are you feeling in your body? What are you noticing at the moment? Like, what are you noticing? So mind, body, and spirit. Even just, and social media. What are you noticing on social media at the moment? Because spirit are very good at dropping things into your path, and social media is easy to hijack. That's the word that Chris always uses, hijack. So notice what you're feeling and what catches your eye at the moment. And also salmon, which is all about inner knowing, like trust yourself. If you trust yourself and you know yourself and how powerful you really are and what you're here to do, and if you're part of the Raise family, like I talked about this last night, I'm sure we are all part of this big soul family. Chris continually brings people to me who he's in contact with in spirit. So there's a lot of young, Chris was 27 when he passed over, and there's a lot of young people that he brings to me. So a lot of brothers in spirit, and he brings the sisters to me. I don't know, they're just, it's an attraction thing. And also, yeah, so if there's a lot of masculine energy in spirit who are like us as the feminine, like together we can really heal across time and space. And also, yeah, the grandmothers especially, that's how Chris and I started our journey. It was the grandmothers calling us. So if I've said anything and you're like, oh my goodness, I think I need to come into Raise, I think I need to be part of this community, you know, it is a frightening step and there's a lot of resistance to healing. And my goodness, I had many years of resistance to what I was being called to do, and I didn't have any clarity about what it was, and I just knew, yeah, like that's the salmon, like the inner knowing that I needed to do something. I had a purpose and I was a bit lost and nothing was really making sense to me, and everything I was sort of trying just didn't feel right until I was really slapped in the face, as I said, by spirit. And I was like, okay, I better take the hint and just see where this is going. That's all. You don't need clarity. It's just that little step forward. You don't know where you're actually going to be treading, but just know that you are supported, and movement is all you need. Like just that one little step forward, that one join, even if it's just joining Raise and just having a look around quietly and seeing what we're all up to. Yeah, that's all I need to say. But yes, this time of balance, this time of real decision making, actually, it's a fantastic time for staking your flag in the ground. That's the kind of feeling I'm getting, the vision I'm getting. It's like, right, I'm actually going to do something about this year. Not one more year is this going to be negatively affecting me. You know, we've had all this grief, and it's become so obvious that collectively and ancestrally, and in fact, yeah, sort of close ties with spirit, there's a lot of grief that needs to be released. So, and to do it safely and in the company of others going through. We have, yeah, so everyone who's in Raise, who's been working with me or us in the last year, like there are some incredible healers now in there, and they didn't know they were healers before they started. So we're very, very, very held within the group. So yeah, and obviously you develop your connection with spirit. That's it. We've actually got a reconnection experience coming up. I'm not sure when it's going to be, but we've got it coming up. So yeah, you sort of get the connection, the community, and then there's also the collaboration. So there's lots of interaction within Raise members, and yeah, it's free. As the basic community is free, you can meet people in there, and I do every 6 weeks we do a meet. And then if you want to go deeper with us, like these connection experiences, they are paid for, but yeah, to come in and just have a look around and see how you feel, you're all welcome. If you're getting anything I've said is resonating, yeah, do come in, do make the leap in. Okay, lots of love. I hope you've found something of interest in this film anyway. Okay, lots of love. Bye.